absolutely delicious Jamaican ackee and saltfish fritters. These are hot, hot out the pan. Look how crispy. Yum. Tomato, saltfish, ackee, which is the national fruit of Jamaica, included in the national dish, ackee and saltfish. Okay, you hear what I'm saying? Such a delicious, crispy on the outside, nice and soft and savory on the inside. All right, let's taste that. Let's get into it. And nothing to it but to get into it. Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to Ann Lex TV, where flavor meets soul. My name is Annie B. And in today's video, we have two things going on. You already read the caption. You already saw the intro. We are making Jamaican ackee and saltfish fritters. Yes, ackee and saltfish fritters. Ackee is a fruit. We'll get more into that while we are during the process of making these fritters, okay? Fritters are so delicious. They're crispy on the outside, nice and soft on the inside. And these are savory fritters, so they're gonna be so good because I'm a savory girl. And then two, we will be reviewing and talking about Waxing with Danisha and Cliff's last video. Why was my husband mad? Dinner took a turn real quick. We're just going to be discussing the video, a few pointers and a few things that I relate to Danisha, whether good or bad, a few things that I noticed in the video, and also me relating to that myself and how I was in previous relationships. We're going to also discuss some of the questions she asked her husband during the video, and I'm going to be talking about their communication styles, how I like to communicate, what I've learned about communication, so on and so forth. So today's going to be a good video. If you like good food, good conversation, then this is the video for you, and I thank you for tuning in. And yeah, so grab a seat at the table, because around here, we go beyond the plate. All right, you guys, so remember I told you we are making Jamaican ackee and saltfish fritters. This is the ackee that we buy in a can. This is a fruit, all right, and it's Jamaica's national fruit, and it's also part of Jamaica's national dish, which is ackee and saltfish, which I absolutely love. And I would have made it if I had more of the ingredients that I typically use to make ackee and saltfish, which is tomato, scallion, onion, Scotch bonnet. I don't have Scotch bonnet, I don't have onion. I just felt like I'm not gonna do a disservice. So instead, I'll make some fritters, which I love fritters. Fritters is also a classic staple in a Jamaican household. All right, I had to get my handy dandy iPad, because me remembering people's handle on YouTube just ain't it. So Nico, GP9MV. Hey Nico, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a supporter, and also thank you for answering my question, what type of foods do you guys want to see? And this person said that they want to see more Caribbean classics, so that's why I'm bringing the fritters, Jamaican fritters, to you guys, which is a doughy, it's like a fried cake or patty using flour, and you can do savory. All right, we typically make saltfish fritters, or my mom would make banana fritters a lot when we were younger. So you can make it sweet, you can make it savory. All right, today we are, of course, doing savory. So, okay. Oh, and something to note about ackee, it grows on trees, and you must only eat it when it is fully ripe. If you eat it when it's unripened, you could get sick and you could vomit and all of the things of that nature. This also was brought from West Africa to Jamaica in the 18th century. Yes, the 18th century. So I thought that was pretty cool, right? All right. So let's get to the recipe. I'm going to let you know what I'm doing, and then we're going to get into the topic, Waxing with Danisha and Cliff. Why was my husband mad video, okay? All right. We have 2 cups of flour in here, and I have 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We're going to add that. And here we have our ackee, just so you can see it. It has a nice creamy, buttery texture to it, and it does resemble scrambled egg, but it does not taste like scrambled eggs. It has more of like a very subtle, nutty kind of flavor. It's very different from anything else I've had, okay? And then in here I have scallions and tomato. Naturally, I would add onion and Scotch bonnet. I'm going food shopping tomorrow. Cannot wait, okay? This is what we're using. And then here's some saltfish. Saltfish is cod that's salted to preserve it. And what you want to do is you want to actually boil it. You want to boil it in some water to then rid of some of that salt so that it's not too salty. I've done that already and took it off of the bone and, shredded it a little bit. Okay. All right. So now we're going to just add in these ingredients. I'm going to add some of the saltfish, not all of it. because I want to see. I'm adding all of it. I lied. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the scallion and tomato. Let's add in this ackee. I'm going to add all of it. All right, let's give that a mix. I also have seasonings over here. I'm going to add some seasonings. Don't you worry. Because that's going to make up for not having, you know, the onion and all that good stuff. I'm just checking out my ratio here. This is a good ratio. It'll have a lot of meatiness in the fritter. All right, so we're going to go with a little bit of paprika. We're going to go with a little bit of cumin. And we're just developing flavor. We want the flavor to be complex. All right, we're going to add some onion powder. This will help with not having the actual onion. Using what I have and making the best of it. Okay, okay. Then we're going to go in with some ground ginger, black pepper, garlic powder, some allspice. And mind you, the saltfish already is adding salt to the dish, so you don't want to add too much salt. We're going to go ahead and add a little bit of this complete seasoning. I've told you in other videos, is less salty than most seasoning salts. And that's why I really like it, because it has a nice flavor without being overly salty. I think that is enough. While we're mixing this up, we're going to talk about Wax with Danisha and Cliff's previous video. Why was my husband mad? Then it took a left turn. Then it took a turn real quick. All right, so in the video, it starts off as all her videos start off with some nice music playing and, you know, then them praying, dishing out the food and all that good stuff, right? So during this time, she asked him about, mind you, I'm going to be discussing communication style, right? Because that was what her main point of this video was. Communication and how she believes, Danisha, how she believes communication is key. And just to edify Danisha really quick, she is a content creator. She's an awesome cook. She is a woman of God. She has a great singing voice. She has a husband named Cliff, and she has 3 children, a boy and 2 girls. One is a cute little baby, looks just like Cliff, and yeah. So just to edify her really quickly, okay? So she also has a job outside of content creating. She's also getting a degree and all that really awesome stuff in social work. So I think that is amazing, okay? So just to give you a little background. All right. Now we're going to add a little bit of water at a time. So in the beginning of the video, she asks Cliff to talk about the carrot juice that he has. In Jamaica, right, Cliff is Jamaican. Okay, my parents are both Jamaican, right? To give you a little background on me and my household. So I grew up with Jamaican food, and so I know certain terminologies and stuff like that. We call carrot juice, okay? Now, it's not just carrots juiced and then that's it. But we actually put things into our carrot juice. We put a little, my mom used to put a little condensed milk in it, some ginger, and we dress up, we dressed it up. And my father would like to put red stripe beer. Red stripe? That's what name? I forgot the name. Red stripe, I believe is what it's called. Red stripe beer. He would like some of that in it, right? So Cliff is explaining to her what's in the carrot juice. And then so Danisha says, well, then that's not really carrot juice, is it? It's a carrot drink. Because when I hear carrot juice, I think of it just being the carrots juiced. And he's like, well, in Jamaica, we call carrot, this is what we call carrot juice. This is what we call carrot juice. Like, that's it. And, you know, I can kind of see, like, the back and forth. It felt unnecessary to me personally. If that is what he said they call it in Jamaica, that's it. There's no need, in my opinion, to go back and forth on it being called juice or drink. It doesn't matter, right? But from there, you can kind of feel there's something behind that, right? And keep in mind, we are not judging over here, right? The reason why I like to have these discussions, especially as women, is because I like to have discussions about things that help us to grow, help us to elevate, help us to think about our character and how we communicate, how we treat one another, and importantly, how we treat ourselves. All right, this needs a little more water. And I have some ackee in here. The water looks cloudy because I actually poured some of the ackee water in here to further flavor the fritters, right? So I did peep that. And I want you to also keep in mind, I actually relate to Danisha a lot. I feel like whenever I watch her videos, how assertive she is, and to others, yes, it comes off aggressive, and sometimes it may come off aggressive. I feel like I can relate to that personality trait because I've been that way. And I've been that way, and I've spoken to you guys about it, right? I've been very open about me learning to grow from being overly assertive, overly aggressive, and learning to speak my mind without putting people down because I'm afraid or because I've built up this personality to protect myself. Okay, when I was overly angry and overly aggressive and assertive in my previous relationship, I believe it was my way of protecting myself. I didn't feel safe. And I think sometimes we carry that not feeling safe, whether it's childhood trauma or whether it's just your personality, and we take that into our relationships, and sometimes we don't realize it. We think we're right. We think that we're right. And the thing with that kind of personality trait is that when you communicate, you think because you're using a lot of words that your communication is effective. You're communicating, yes, but is it effective communication is the question that we need to be asking ourselves. And just because you're wordy and you use a lot of words does not mean that you are a good communicator. All right, a good communicator understands how to control their emotions and importantly, how to listen. Okay, some people when they communicate, it's more about and less about actually listening. So, like I said in the beginning of the video, I did feel some tension. And I was right. Okay, first of all, you already know that there might be some tension because of dinner took a turn real quick. It didn't really take a turn. A little clickbaity. But anywho, this is all mixed. Let me show you the texture up close. It's a little wet, okay? And that's kind of how you want it because then it'll be nice and soft on the inside. I'm hoping to get it really crispy on the outside. Sometimes it's a little difficult for me to achieve the crispiness on the fritter. I think because I put it down and leave it too long. But I think if you eat it shortly after frying it, then you have that crispiness. And we'll see how that goes, okay? In either case, it'll taste delicious. And also you can pop it in the air fryer to get it more crispy, all right? Just the FYI. Okay, so after they discussed the whole carrot juice nonsense, right, I thought it was nonsense biasly because I understood where he was coming from, and I didn't think there needed to be back and forth about whether it should be called juice or drink. Jamaicans also call rice and peas. Rice and peas, it is not peas that we're using. Yes, some of us use gungo peas in our rice, but typically we call rice and peas made with red kidney beans, rice and peas. And I've seen a bunch of people like, well, why are you guys calling it rice and peas? Relax, just eat it. It's good. But anyway, so I understood where he was coming from, right? So then she goes on to ask him, let me make sure I have this right.
While we're eating. So y'all, we're gonna go ahead and kick this show off. How important is it in a relationship to communicate? How important is communication to you in a relationship?
All right, you heard the question. How is it important to you how important is it for people in a relationship to communicate? And he says he does not use a lot of words. Cliff is not wordy. Danisha is wordy. The person who is wordy in the relationship, they're the ones that always think that they communicate effectively because they use a lot of words. And the person who isn't using a lot of words, they tend to think aren't good communicators. But truth be told, everyone communicates differently. Cliff is quick and short. How important is it to you? Very. That's it. That's all I got for you. It's very important, right? Danisha wants more. So she asks, well, elaborate. Get more into it.
Very important. And why is that?
So at one point in the video, Cliff says, it makes things easier. That's why I believe communication is important. It makes things easier. She goes, well, what do you mean easier? So when I started to pay attention to every time he gave an answer and it was very clear and concise, she wanted more words. Right? So it's easier. We can all understand what easier means. It makes it easier. You understand what's going on with your partner, right? So she asks him to elaborate further, and then he says, like what kind of things would you want to be communicated is what she asks him. He says, when you're going somewhere, checking the mailbox, doing this, doing that. So for him, communication should be what are you doing? What are you up to? So that the person doesn't have to guess what you're doing or what you're up to, right? And for her, she believes not only should you communicate just about, where you're going or what you're up to, but also about your feelings and how you're feeling. And that was a segue into why he had an attitude in the morning. Okay, but she doesn't reveal that in the beginning. She reveals that later on. All right, let me get this over to the stove so that we can watch this fry up. So we're going to start frying. I hope this oil isn't too hot. You don't want the oil too hot. I think it's good. And then you're going to scoop that. You can scoop it any way you like. This is how I always saw my mom do it, just like this, how I'm doing it like now. And we want to cook this about 4 minutes per side. And if you have to keep turning it just so that it doesn't get too brown, do that. I'm not one of those cooks that's like, you only want to turn it once. You turn it as many times as you need to control how brown it gets. All right. Danisha did a good segue into ask him, so why didn't he communicate earlier this morning when he had an attitude? Why didn't he communicate his feelings? Because he agreed with her, like, oh, yeah, I guess, we should be communicating our feelings, right? He said he was just tired, and I knew it. Before he answered, I had a feeling that he was tired. Why? My intuition, one, and two, because I've been there, right? I used to have a hard time allowing my partner to have a mood or feel how he felt without me internalizing it, because I just thought everything revolved around me. I had to be the center of everything. So if he's moody, I must have something to do with that. It must be something deeper than he's just moody. It must be something deeper than he's just tired. And guess what? Danisha said the same exact thing. And I said, I knew it. I literally paused and said, I knew it. I knew he was tired. I feel like sometimes, I can't speak for men, but sometimes as women, we have a hard time just allowing men to feel what they feel without feeling that we have to be the center of everything. They can have their emotions, and we still need to maintain and keep our emotions intact. But that is difficult. And the reason why it's difficult is we weren't raised to understand how to do that. We weren't raised to understand how to do that. So that's what makes it so hard doing it when you're in a relationship. But sometimes you think you're right in that. Sometimes you think there's nothing wrong in that. And I can assure you that there is something wrong in internalizing your partner's mood or your partner's attitude. Allow them to feel how they feel. And you communicate effectively when you allow them to feel how they feel without you thinking it has something to do with you. That is so important in a relationship. So let's see how this is looking. All right. It's looking pretty good. That is so important to do in a relationship. Allow your partner to feel how they feel. All right? You have to do that. Now, she did say, I felt initially, I was like, she put him on blast? I was like, I feel like she's putting him. And she said to herself, she said, I had to put you on blast because she wanted this to be like a learning piece or a lesson for those who are newly married or in a new relationship. Did I feel like maybe it was a little bit of manipulation here? Yes, because there's a lot of ways where you could have taught or given a lesson to those who are married or in a relationship without putting your husband on blast. There's a lot of ways that could have taken place, right? Now, I relate to Danisha, like I said, in a lot of ways in her personality, and those are certain things that I really like, and then there's certain things that I did not like about myself that I had to continuously and still continuously work on to better my character. I don't think we should ever stop growing on everything we've learned enough. You're always a child in God's eyes. There's always something to learn, right? And so when I watch her, sometimes I'm just like, we all have a lot to learn, not just her, not just me. And yes, there was a lot of times where I felt righteous in my way of communicating because I used a lot of words. And the truth is, it just doesn't make you a good communicator. So they went back and forth about that. And she said, which I knew, she said that she thought it was something deeper. She thought it was more than just him being tired. And that happens when you don't know how to separate yourself from what your partner is feeling. That is so necessary to be able to do that. I used to think whenever my partner was moody, it had to have something to do with me. It had to be deeper. Why did it have to be deeper? Why did it have to be deeper to fulfill my paranoia? Or if you have issues of being paranoid or issues of abandonment and neglect, then you are most likely to think everything revolves around you in terms of your partner not being in the best mood. And that is what I picked up on. That is what I picked up on. So, they just continue to talk about communication. And, she said, for the future, you want to communicate that. Just say, hey, babe, now pay attention to this. Hey, babe, I'm tired, so I'm a little moody. She said, I would have understood. She said, as a woman, I would have understood if you just communicated that you were tired. But I wouldn't have forgiven your attitude, and that's the thing right there. Right? Now, she said that he was yelling at her and things of that nature. So do I think she deserves an apology if he was indeed yelling at her and rolling his eyes at her like she said that he was doing? Yes. But if you understand that the person was just tired, then you also don't take it personally if those things didn't actually affect you and hurt you. That's my take on it. Sometimes we nitpick. We nitpick because we just want to be controlling. We want everything to go our way. And I have been there. I have been the person that nitpicks at every little thing. I would be controlling, or don't do this, don't do that, talk to me this way, talk to me. Everyone has a different way of communicating. When you learn not to take things personally, you are more at peace with yourself. You feel how you feel, because I'm in a good mood. Okay? And that's how you have to go about that. So I just thought that was interesting. And then I also like the topic she brought up about... and I agree. I think communication is key all the time. But not just communicating, not just talking, but it being effective. Okay? And then... Oh, I'm getting tired. I'm a little woozy. Woo! Is it ready to flip? Let's see. I'm going to stay a little longer. Right? What else? Oh, so then another topic that she brought up was forgiveness. Did he feel women or men, who out of women or men are more easy to forgive? And he said that he feels, what did he say? Did he say he felt like women? I believe he said he felt like women are more easy to forgive, and she feels like men are more easy to forgive. I don't think it's a men or women kind of situation. I think it just depends on the person. I've been around men who forgave or said they forgave, but not really. And the same with women. So I think it just depends on the personality. I don't really think it's a men or women thing. And a lot of the time, what I've experienced myself is forgiving. Not really forgiving, because to me, forgiveness doesn't mean you forget, but it does mean that you don't continuously bring the same thing up over and over and over again. And yes, both men and women are guilty of that. I think it's just about taking accountability as a person. All right? Yes, I know that my content is geared towards having conversation with women, but in general, as a person, you should, when you forgive, you have to learn if you truly forgive. And if you don't truly forgive, then communicate that. I'm sorry, it's going to take me a while to forgive you. I'm deeply hurt. It's going to take me some time. So it's either you will give me the opportunity to get there. Give me the opportunity to get there, or choose not to. The choice is yours, but that's why communication is key, because then you allow someone to make moves based off of your truth. This is how I'm feeling. Right now it's going to take me a long time before I'm able to forgive X, Y, Z. But if you say that you forgive the person, you have to practice not constantly bringing up the same thing you said you forgave them about. Because the truth is sometimes you really didn't forgive the person. You just want to get over it. You want to get past it. Or you want them to believe that you forgave them so that they'll be happy again. All right, let's start flipping these over. I'm going to use my fork just to help guide me. Ooh, that looks good. I'm going to show you guys a close-up. Don't worry. I have to make sure the camera didn't. I know I've been having issues with storage. So please feel free to donate to the channel, baby girls. Feel free to donate, okay? Oh, and shout out to At Home with Lisa. She's been such a generous person. We so appreciate you. We thank you not just for your content, but for you as a person. Not just for your support, but for your generosity and your caring and bright spirit. I pray that you've been well, and I thank you so much for being just a gem. Also, Francine, shout out to Francine, has been such an awesome supporter. Shout out to keeping up with the Griffins. There's so many people I could shout out. Oh my goodness. Shout out to Sincere. I said Sincere. Severe. I have a cousin whose name is Sincere. Shout out to Severe. We have a lot of, shout out to Daniel.
The beautiful Taja.
Jadia. There's been people who are just continuously, Santina, Planet Ty, just a bunch of people who I want to say thank you. Thank you for your support, 100%. All right? All right, let me show you this up close. Doesn't that look divine? Yep. I like that you can see the ackee, you can see the scallion, you can see the tomato. I love that. And then once these are all done, we're going to go ahead and plate up.
This, is there this one?
Huh?
Can I eat this?
Can you eat what?
This.
You want to eat that?
Huh?
Do you want to make a toasty?
I want to eat it, but I'm going to eat this first, and then I want to eat the toasty.
Okay. All right. So you guys see how this fritter came out? Look how...
That tastes good.
He likes his bread. He's very happy with his bread right now. Your bread is good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Anyway, so this is how the fritter came out. It looks absolutely delicious. And I'm putting it in this so it can drain. So I could like line it up, stand them up, and have it drained. It has fish in it, yeah. See how good that looks? It has. I'll give you some fritters, of course.
Really?
Yeah, but do you want a toasty still, or do you want fritters? All right, let's taste that. That's very good. And I achieved the crunch. Yum. My mother's going to love this. Look at that. The dough truly is nice and soft on the inside. The tomato is nice. You got a little bit of acidity from the tomato. A nice onion flavor from the scallion. And you got the little bit of cumin that's coming through, a little bit of allspice. All these flavors work very, very well. You see the saltfish? Hot. It's bomb. Bomb.com. Very good. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you think about our topic today. Sorry, this is okay. All right, what does communication mean to you? And have you been in any of your relationships, not just intimate, have you been communicating effectively? Do you sometimes feel you can be too assertive, too aggressive, or do you feel you should speak up more for yourself in terms of communication? Are you good at expressing when you are moody? I do think that is very necessary. Are you good at expressing when something bothers you, or when you dislike something? Or are you somebody where you just sit back and you let things play out and you don't really talk much? Let me know what you think about that. Also, let me know if you think there's a difference between how men and women forgive. Personally, I don't. I think it's more of a personality thing. But in my personal experience, I have been very forgiving. But at the same time, was it really forgiveness? I don't think so. I think I wanted to get over it. I think I wanted to get past it. True forgiveness, I don't know if men or women have a difference in how they truly forgive. But I do think that we have to learn how to forgive, especially if the person in their actions are showing you that they're sorry. Sometimes people want you to forgive them, but their actions are still the same. You have not done differently. You're still doing the same thing that I told you I dislike. So let's talk about this in the comments. I thank you all for tuning in. I love you guys. I really do. And I pray that you all have been doing well. I pray that even if this year has been difficult, I pray that God continues to bless you with his peace, his love, his undeserved kindness, his generosity, and his abundant goodness. I truly do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I thank you guys for tuning in. God bless you. And peace. Just look at that. Just. It don't make sense to taste this good. It really don't make sense to taste this good.